Hey guys, my name is Charlie, and today I will be bringing you guys an unpackaging of this. So, I already know what this is, but I decided that I wanted to unpack it here for you guys, so you guys see everything that comes with it when you buy it from the seller. These were released in a limited run, and these are the Mackie Tri-Night Spinners. So here's your COD card, his signature, serial number 48. Comes in a nice little tin here, and it says Mackie on it. Mackie is the creator of this. So let's take this out. So first off, this is a very heavy spinner, but let's talk a little bit more about the packing. It's got some nice heavy foam inside of it to keep it in. You can also see there's a little key there. Just grab the knife here. Comes with a little Allen key. And we'll close this back up. I'll put this to the side. So here is the Mackie Tri-Spinner, or Tri-Night Spinner. It is a very, very heavy spinner. Don't have a scale, but I believe it weighs over 130 grams. It's a nice CNC brass. You can see some of the machining marks. You can see some of the machining marks. That's also because it's really cold. It's May in Canada and it's snowing. But you can see some of the machining marks. It's not too bad, but it's definitely there. See some frost. It's got some nice stainless steel balls in here, so you hear it when it spins. You got a little hole down here for your set screw to keep the bearing in place, and you have Mackie, and then the serial number. So mine's number 48. You have this logo, both sides of the buttons. Buttons unscrew. I believe they are stainless steel. They're nice, turned. Look very good, and they're also very heavy. This button's a lot heavier, given that it has the female end of the bolt receiver. So I'm not surprised there. Here you go. So there is room on this spinner for 2 by 16 millimeter tritium vials, I believe. I believe 2 by 16 millimeters is the dimensions, but you have 9 on each side right here. So it's great that he thought about that. Let's take out the bearing. Okay, so it's just a mini set screw. It's a little bit of force. The bearing comes out. So bearing is, I believe, a 688 bearing. It's shielded still. It's still shielded. 688. Yep. But it still spins very smoothly. So I'm not worried there. The balls can be taken out individually. So you can have no balls. I've seen people replace the balls with BBs or like mini beads. So you have different colors. Someone made little glass Dragon Balls and they put it in there, and so when you spin it you got some cool color effects. you can put in different color balls, so you can have, say, red, green, and blue balls, and then that way when you spin and you warp, you get some pretty cool, interesting color effects. So I'm going to put all of the balls back in here because I have yet to spin it. I will do that for you now. You just kind of hold the balls back. You just seat the bearing back in place. The bearing is a nice, it's a nice tight push fit. I'm not particularly worried about it coming out even without the set screw. It's very solidly in there. I'm just gonna put it back in with this set screw here. Doesn't have to be super tight. And then let's just put the buttons back on. Just like that. I wonder if there is a specific position for each of the buttons. There seems to be. Just like that. So the buttons are nice and big, fits my thumb very well. My finger is around an inch by the knuckle, so you know that this is around an inch wide button. You guys can hear it. So there's a little bit of noise. The gyro effect is not too bad. It is a tri-spinner, so it is better. But there is definitely some heft to it when you spin. You can definitely feel it. Even going the other way. Its fidgetability, flicking it forward is not the best, but yeah, so that is my first look at the Tri-Night Spinner. I am going to carry this around with me as my EDC, along with my knives and my vape, for the next couple weeks, and then I will get back to you guys. At this point, it has been a couple weeks, and I'm here to finally give my final opinion on the Mackie spinner. The first couple weeks, the first couple weeks with the spinner have been very interesting. Lots of different opinions. For majority of the week, I ran it. For majority of the weeks that I've ran this as my primary spinner, I have spun it without these balls. If you hear, the bearing sound is completely normal, but it's the sound of the balls clinking back and forth from each other and the frame of the spinner that become very, very annoying. I personally don't mind the sounds. This is kind of nice. I actually kind of very much like the sound. But it's a fidget spinner where it's supposed to help me deal with stress, anxiety, and distractions. Where if I have something like this in class, and I'm spinning this in class, I might as well be clicking a pen. So that becomes a very defined line for me. I wanted something, or personally I do like something that is silent, or virtually silent, but allows me some great fidgetability while still being very fun and cool looking. So that has sort of become one of my final defining thoughts on the spinner, is that with the balls, unless you put a spacer in between the balls somehow, I always just spin it without the balls unless I'm going somewhere where I know it's okay. If I'm going out to a con, or I'm going out to a friend's house, or I'm going out with a bunch of friends to a bar or something like that, then it's totally okay for me to have the balls in. But if I'm doing something in class, I either take out the balls if I want to run the spinner today, or I just don't use this spinner specifically. Furthermore, the set screw. I don't like the set screw. I feel like it doesn't really do anything. I have spinners that use a set screw to set the bearing in place, but I've noticed that it doesn't actually set anything in place. I've also noticed some interesting marks with the spinner itself. My camera will focus. You can see right here, the marks on the spinner are not very great. It seems like the machining was a little bit messed up at that point, and it's only evident on these two inner walls here. The rest of the walls on the spinner are perfectly fine. If we go into the bearing, this is something that bothers probably only me, but the bearing is off by a couple millimeters. So on the back, you can see that there are these brass arms holding in the bearing from falling through the bottom, and then there's nothing on the top. That means that inherently, the bearing is not set in the middle. That set screw is also not set in the middle. It's set in the middle of the spinner, but it's not set middle to the bearing. That part is irrelevant, but I don't like the fact that it is just slightly off by a couple millimeters, and the buttons don't compensate for that. Because the buttons are identical, the top button will always be slightly higher by a millimeter or two than the bottom button. That bothers me, and probably only me, because I'm very picky and I have a tendency to do stuff like that. If I come in here and I remove the set screw, there's a couple other interesting things. The fit on the bearing is very, very, very tight. That is one thing that I've noticed from spinning this spinner. It is very, very tight. Which may be a good thing, might be a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing because you're putting a little bit too much pressure on the bearing and it makes it harder to spin. But if I come into here, I can get this to focus. You can see that the way the machining is done here is not perfect. The edges on each one here is very, very rough, and the spinner itself on the inside is particularly dirty. I've cleaned it as much as I can, but when I first got it, there were black marks everywhere, and you can see even in there, just all of it. Yeah, better look at the edges I'm talking about. You can see that they're uneven. Like right here, this section right here, it's very uneven. So, yeah. And I'll try to find that edge again, this edge right here, of the spinner, where you can see that the machining marks are very weird compared to these ones. So yeah, that's my take on the spinner. The build quality of the spinner is overall very nice. You're getting quite a bang for your buck for a 65 USD spinner. The spinner is very nice actually. In terms of fidgetability, it is very great. I find it very comfortable. I love the buttons. They're nice and big, and they have a good ledge on them for you to put your hands on. The 688 bearing is good enough. I find that it's not, although not super common, it is not a bad bearing in and of itself. Let's put the buttons back on. The spinner itself, the buttons they're okay. I know some people prefer R188 spinner bearings, but I don't care. I find that the bearings they work fine, and I'm not a spin time junkie. I just kind of fidget, which is the whole point of the fidget spinners. You fidget. But one thing I've noticed is that it gets 4 to 5 minutes on average with or without the balls. The spin is pretty much the same, 4 to 5 minutes with or without. The spinner itself lends itself very good because of the edges here for preloaded flicks. You get really nice spins. However, for people that like to flick forward, you can do it one of two ways. You can do it this way, or you can put your finger there. I find both of them work, but it's not nearly as strong as a spin as pulling back. And I feel like that is at this point because as much as these corners are not hotspots to me, they're still hard edges. It's not a smooth, round piece like it is here. It is, at the end of the day, a very hard edge. And that becomes a little bit of an issue. It's not a hotspot, it's just a very hard edge. And so it makes sometimes spinning forward a little bit hard and sore. The spinner itself is a fairly big spinner, which makes it, for me anyways, I find it very difficult I find it less comfortable to spin it this way, because my finger is elevated a little bit higher, and then it's, I don't know, I find it weird. It might not be weird for other people. If I do it with the Zen, you can see that the angle of which I have to bring my finger up is not nearly as much as when I do it with this, which is a little bit higher. I have to bring it back a little bit further, and so it feels weird, and I don't like it as much. I find that you can almost not spin it this way. It's very difficult. Some people can do it. I don't like it. It hurts my finger because the spinner is so heavy. The weight of the spinner is not bad. It's 135 grams with the steel balls inside, and I like it. I like the mass. I just find it a little bit too heavy for my fingers sometimes. You can get a lot of finger fatigue if you're spinning it the wrong way, or one way that you're not conditioned to or comfortable yet. I'll have some dimensions posted up on the screen just so that you guys can see exactly how big the spinners are. This was taken off the Mackie spinner Facebook group. But my overall opinion on the spinner is that it's very nice. I haven't noticed any hotspots. I noticed that there are some quality control machining marks that are not great. I've noticed that the patina on this is really weird. It's very uneven, and I know patina isn't supposed to be even, but it looks like it's got some type of like clear coating that's like slowly wearing off. That looks really weird. Like the spinner, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the top half of the Mackie logo is looks like it's looks different than the bottom half, which doesn't make any sense at all. And then here there's just a splotch missing. Like the patina looks weird in my opinion, and I think there was like some type of wash or coating over it, but I haven't polished it since I noticed the patina because I wanted to show it on video. But yeah, overall I think the spinner is not bad. It's a nice spinner, it's heavy, and I think it accomplishes a lot of what people want from the spinner. It is not, although it's become one of my favorites, I prefer to spin it without the balls for previously mentioned reasons. But to each their own. There is a current limited run of stainless steel versions of these spinners. Unfortunately, I can't afford that, nor do I intend to, because I already have this brass one, but I don't intend to give this away at any time. This is a very nice spinner, and if you ever have a chance to pick one up for between the $60 and $70 range, I would definitely do it. To some people, it might be worth more value because there's only 100 of these guys made, which is great. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and my personal opinion of the spinner and my experience with it. And let me know what you guys want to see from me in the future. I'm not the richest person on earth, but I'll try to pick up what spinners I can, and I'll try to give the best, most honest reviews I can, as well as my story with the spinner. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. You're welcome back to see any other video. Please comment, rate, and subscribe as you wish. Give me your opinions. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.